today on stopping bots.
Cloudflare Entertainment is a holding company of many online gaming companies responsible for the Paddy Power and Betfair brands. At heart, we are a technology company operating in a very dynamic financial market. We handle lots of transactions, people's assets and personal information, and we take that role very seriously. We had a very extensive credential stuffing attack. 70 to 90% of all our traffic was classified as malicious traffic. After using Cloudflare Bot Management, we managed to drive down, in certain situations, up to 90% the rate of these events. And that obviously meant a great deal from a financial perspective from us, probably more than £2 million per year. For us, bot management and the bot score gives us great visibility into the nature of the visitor. We really love that. It gives us a sense of control. The Cloudflare team was there for us in every way. What we really loved about it is how deeply technical they were. They helped us debug a lot of very complicated situations. Cloudflare is the biggest and most cost-effective security upgrade that you can take in the shortest period of time.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining the demo today on Stopping Bots Without CAPTCHA. My name is Adam, and I'm joined by Humair, and we're here to talk about Cloudflare's bot management solution, and in particular, a new feature that's part of bot management for all customers called Turnstile, which adds an extra layer of security on top. So today, what we'll be doing is this is all going to be recorded. The slides will be on demand if you'd like them after the fact. We'll be taking questions at the end, so please feel free to submit them in the chat whenever. And we'll be going through as many as we can at the end of the webinar. For questions that we're not able to get through in the live session, we'll be following up over email with the answers. So let me first move along now. Just for anyone who isn't familiar, Cloudflare, our mission statement here is that we're helping to build a better internet. So everything that we do is built on the spirit of not only does this help us be successful as a company, but how are we contributing to making the internet better as a whole? For folks who aren't aware, everything that we do is really powered by Cloudflare's global network footprint. So we're in 300 different cities, including mainland China. We have over 25,000 or 12,500 network connects, over 200 terabits of network capacity, and we're within 50 milliseconds of every single 95% of the world's internet connected population. In every single one of these dots that you see here, what makes Cloudflare successful and what our superpower is that we're not just running certain services in every single one of these data centers. What we're doing is we're running every single service. So you can see a lot of folks are familiar with us primarily on the application services side. So things like WAF, rate limiting, bot management, of course, load balancing. But we also offer quite a few different services that you might not be familiar with on the zero trust side, on the developer platform side. So I would just say take a look at this. If there's something that you're interested in that maybe you're surprised to see on the list, please feel free to follow up after the show, and we'd be happy to point you in the right direction on resources for any of these. Now, I think a good starting point for the discussion that we're going to have today is what are we seeing bots do? How is the problem of containing bots on your website different than it was maybe 2 years ago, maybe 5 years ago? And just as a point of context, over a quarter of the traffic that we see on anyone's given website is from something other than a web browser or a mobile client to serve, where you're paying for extra overhead that you don't really need to. The world of bots has gotten a lot different from what we saw 2 to 5 years ago as well. So we were coming from a world where bot operators were individual authors who would write their own scripts, maintain them themselves, and do it essentially for free in their spare time, from someone's website. And now we're seeing that's shifted a lot. So bots are no longer just a single person operation. What they are is instead a collective effort where groups of developers are working to maintain a specific piece of software that's targeting one single website. And if they're targeting your site, they're likely familiar with your rate limiting. They're familiar with whatever bot management software that you may have or you may not have. And they're actually subscribed to. So these developers build not a script, but they're actually building a platform that someone can use to do things like get limited goods from your store, to launch account takeover attacks, to find good or bad credit cards using the credit card validation endpoint that you use for your customers. And so these bot developers are suddenly very well resourced, where they can, rather than spinning up their own machine to do this, they're actually buying cloud services. They're subscribing to things like residential proxies that allows them to have access to pools of millions of IP addresses in the given region that you expect your customers to come from. Because people are subscribing to these services, paying $25, $50 a month to have access to this platform, it means that any single security measure that you take is one that those bot authors are actually well resourced enough to figure out what the way to get around that solution is, and to develop a workaround. So it's something where, as a website operator, also need to invest in a solution where people are constantly investing in new solutions, new detections. In terms of stopping bots, the first thing that we recommend folks do is analyzing every request. This needs to be done in context. One good question that we got already in the chat is, are there good bots? And yes, there are. And so part of stopping bots needs to be a nuanced understanding of your traffic, and understanding, are there good bots that either you're aware of, or maybe that you're not aware of on your site that you want to continue to allow through, and ensuring that you're writing security rules to block the bad bots that you want to block, but also allow in the good bots that you want to keep in place. So plenty of people have uptime monitors on their sites, or integration tools, or part of your deployment process might be to have someone sign up for an account. And so these are all things that you need to take into account. And Cloudflare's bot management platform allows you to see all this traffic beforehand. And we can work with you to ensure that you're crafting rules to first be aware of that good traffic, let it through in a secure way, and then mitigate the bad bot traffic in the way that works most for you. And then the point that we're adding here at the end here is using Turnstile on the specific endpoints that bots are targeting the most. So for most websites, bots aren't just equally paying attention to all of your site, right? On Cloudflare.com, we see bots targeting our account signup endpoint. We see bots targeting our login endpoint, our credit card validation endpoint. And so these are the areas that need an extra layer of security, and we're using Turnstile to do that. So in terms of what we offer with Cloudflare's bot management, we're seeing there's a few different ways that we're doing this. This is a layered bot defense, where we're using our WAF, we're using tools like rate limiting. For some customers, they're using things like workers to serve alternate content. We're also giving customers visibility and analytics into the complete set of detections that we have. If you're using Cloudflare today, so if you're a Cloudflare customer and you've been on us for at least 30 days, if you buy bot management, you'll immediately gain access to 30 days worth of this bot analytics data, even if you haven't been using it before. So as soon as you turn it on, you get that backwards looking data. You also get access to world-class threat insight. So not only from our bot management product, but you'll see from our threat intelligence product suite and other tools as well that we'll go into a little bit later. And this is, of course, fully integrated with other application security products at Cloudflare. So you're using the data that you get from bot management to do things like write WAF rules, apply different cache configurations, or add different headers, It's a full product suite. It's not just using a single point solution to defeat bots. And what makes Cloudflare unique, we've talked a little bit about the Cloudflare network already, and how every single data center that we have runs every single product that we offer. On the bot management side, how we leverage that is, rather than running this on the limited amount of bot management customers that we have, we run every single bot detection that we have on the millions of sites that we have that use Cloudflare for any single reason. So if we see a bot attack come in on a free site, that's something that our machine learning model will be aware of, and we'll be able to take what we learned from that attack that we see on a free site and make sure that all of our customers who are bot management customers are also protected and learn from that attack that we see. The other thing is that we're running machine learning models incredibly quickly. We have a couple blog articles about this, but a Cloudflare machine learning model executes at 1/10 of 1 millisecond. And that allows us to build multiple models and run them in line to ensure that we're giving our customers the most possible data and best-in-class detection. One key customer that we wanted to highlight, I know we already spoke about Flutter in the video earlier, but GPC is another one that I think makes a really great use case here. This is the auto parts. I think you'll recognize the logo for something like Napa Auto Parts. And their challenge was that they have over 900 websites. And these are websites where there's a really high incentive for bots to scrape their content. Mainly this is from competitors who want to know exactly what the price is for each item, so that they can ensure that they can either be competitive or undercut them slightly. And we were actually able to help them uncover one specific competitor that was scraping their website in a particular way. And we gave them the option of thwarting it by either blocking the bot entirely, or they could use our platform to seed that competitor with bad information and give them fake pricing. So when we talk about the layered Cloudflare bot defense, I wanted to go in this a little bit more in depth to make sure that folks understood exactly what we mean. Now, the first thing that all bot management customers gain access to is our global machine learning analysis. So this is what we talked about briefly before. We're running it on all Cloudflare traffic. We also have a global set of heuristics too. So these are static rules. And usually how the process works is Cloudflare security analysts will take a look at the things that our machine learning models are scoring poorly to begin with. And we're isolating those. We're finding very high confidence rules. And then we're making static rules that we can use to then enforce our machine learning models and ensure that we're always scoring them as bots. When we also score something using our heuristics engine, what that means is that as a bot management customer, you gain access to the specific detection ID that we use to score that. And so there was a financial institution, for instance, that we mitigated a very large volumetric attack for. And it was already scored low, and that was great for them because they were challenging that, and they were actually using those signals downstream to mitigate the attack. But what they wanted to do was they wanted to start blocking that at our edge entirely. So there wasn't even a question of serving them a challenge. So we promoted that to a heuristic rule. They used the detection ID that we put for that particular botnet, and then they blocked that earlier in the pipeline. And so that was something that they were able to, because we were positively identifying a specific threat actor, treat them differently and maybe get a little bit more aggressive with how they were mitigating attack from that specific bot. Now, for every single Cloudflare bot management customer, we also have site-specific anomaly detection. And so what that means is we're taking a baseline of what it looks like when someone interacts with your site. Now, I want to be clear that what we're looking at here is profiling based on a user interaction basis. So if you run an airline, we're looking at what is the typical journey that it takes from someone to going from landing on the website to check out with a ticket. What we're not doing is looking at overall volumes of tickets. And so this anomaly detection will work just as well if you're seeing maybe a low ebb, kind of low interest part of your particular deal cycle, or if it's Black Friday and everyone's flocking to your site as well. This anomaly detection will work just as well because we're looking at what does the particular user do and not what's your overall volume of traffic. And we're also looking at what do specific IPs do on a local level as well. So if we're seeing that maybe a particular threat actor is not only making a lot of requests on your site, but we're seeing that individual making requests on other sites as well. Now, this is a very good way for us to identify things like residential proxies. It's available, it's baked into our most recent machine learning model. And so high volume attacks from specific IPs where they're rotating quickly is still not fast enough to get by machine learning model 7, which is our most recent model. And we'll see that we'll automatically adjust down what we call the bot score to ensure that we're catching those attacks. And this is all well and good, but we're finding in some cases for some of those very sophisticated, well-resourced, professional browser-based bots, we need an additional layer of detection where we're not verifying kind of the global network integrity. We're not verifying that the session's correct because all of this still looks correct. But what we need to do is verify the specific action that someone's taking because these are very sophisticated bots that are doing more than we're used to seeing. And so that's where Turnstile comes in, where what Turnstile allows you to do is say, we're already validating that this is a good session, but anytime someone wants to do something like add a credit card, that should require an extra layer of security. And that extra layer of security is something that we want to validate on a per action basis. So every time someone logs in, every time someone signs up, we want to add this extra layer of detection. Now, I've spoken a lot about why we want to use Turnstile, but I haven't really talked a lot about what it is. So to go over that briefly, Turnstile is our JavaScript detection. Now, Humera is going to get into this a little bit more, but what this is essentially our managed challenge, unbundled and delivered in different ways that makes it more easy for you to detect it, for you to deploy in ways that will be non-intrusive to the user. So for instance, we're running this on all Cloudflare.com endpoints right now that are critical, like our login endpoint, our sign up endpoint, our payment endpoint. And the idea is that as someone's filling out their new account details, they're putting in their name, they're putting in their email address, in the background, that Turnstile challenge is executing. So they're not seeing an interstitial page. They're not having to wait for this to run. By the time they're done filling out their information, they already successfully have a token, and it runs in the background. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight here as well is that the level of interactivity that we'll ask for is only ever a checkbox. When we say defeating bots without CAPTCHA, what we mean here is that Turnstile, and never on Cloudflare's platform will we ever ask you anymore to solve a visual challenge, to pick out 5 pictures of traffic lights, for instance. One of the things that I'm sure folks have seen in the literature recently is that many companies are coming out and saying that artificial intelligence is now demonstrably better at solving those types of visual puzzles than humans are. We already knew for a very long time that they've been aggravating for people. We know that putting something like a CAPTCHA on your checkout flow is actually a way that you may lose sales. JavaScript-based checks in the background to determine if this is a human or a bot, and we're never asking someone to fill out a puzzle or to make them have to think. All they have to do is check. Now, I've shown you the visual version of Turnstile here because let's be honest, it would be a bad webinar if all I did was show you the invisible version. But you can run this invisibly in the background, so there's no Cloudflare logo. There's no check in the box. It's just something that we run behind the scenes. And critically for bot management customers, unlimited Turnstile usage is included in all bot management contracts for your bot management zones. So if you're running bot management on your website today, you get full access to Turnstile for that zone as well. We've talked a little bit about where it's good to run Turnstile, but there are a few other use cases where Turnstile is honestly required. So good use case, and again, I'll go back to Cloudflare.com. Cloudflare.com is is a system where we're using AJAX requests. The user will first see rendered HTML, and then asynchronously make API calls to get information. So if you load the Cloudflare dashboard and then you log in, when you're logging in, that's actually an API call that you're making. That's not rendered in the main HTML window. And so the reason that that's important is because if you want to protect the API call to log in or to check out or to sign up, you can't actually do that with just running a managed challenge. And the reason is because the managed challenge doesn't run in that main browser window, the managed challenge will never actually render. And so it'll always fail. And so for things like AJAX requests, HTML, XML, HTTP requests, or things like iframes, you actually need to use Turnstile if you want to issue a full browser-based challenge in order to determine if this is something like an automated browser or if it's a legitimate human going through this website. The good news is that we've run this on Cloudflare.com, and we've done this for over a month now for all signup endpoints. We've blocked over 1 million signup requests, and we have seen zero impact in terms of user signups, in terms of our revenue, and in terms of support tickets. I have alert in place for the first time that we do get a support ticket regarding someone that we've blocked as a false positive. I have yet to see that. I have yet to see that come up yet. So we're extremely encouraged by the results that we're seeing using it on our own website, and we'd very much encourage you to use it as well. One key addition to Turnstile in terms of how we're ascertaining humanity in a way where we're not requiring you to do things like solve a visual puzzle, and we're making it easy for people, is we're partnering with Apple today we've authored a standard with Apple called private attestation tokens, private access tokens. And what this will do is we'll get a signed, cryptographically secure signal from the device manufacturer that says this is a valid device. The app in question is in the foreground. It's been unlocked and it's valid hardware. So we know that this isn't like some jailbroken botnet device. This is a valid user, and we're getting it using data that we couldn't just using our regular JavaScript challenge. So we're getting better data, and the solve time actually goes down by about 50%. So people are progressed quickly through the challenge. About 50% of all Apple devices now are using private access tokens to solve either Turnstile or the managed challenge. We're looking forward to also bringing on board new vendors, hopefully very soon. So hopefully we won't just be talking about Apple as the only vendor who's adopted this, but other ones in the near future. The last slide that I want to get to here before I turn it over to Humair for a demo is just now that Turnstile is GA as of last month, when it's generally available, that means that we can tick all the boxes for accessibility, for privacy and ease of use. So we know Turnstile is 25 times faster to solve than CAPTCHA. We know this because we ran A/B testing with Turnstile and with CAPTCHA in line before we completely got rid of CAPTCHA on the Cloudflare platform. Turnstile is now FedRAMP compliant, so that means it's part of the FedRAMP moderate Cloudflare suite that we already offer. We're also GDPR and CCPA compliant. Turnstile is included in the ISO 27001 certificate as well. And kind of the thing that we're most proud of here in terms of checking the boxes for compliance is we met the WCAG 2.1 level AA compliance, which is the standard for accessibility. So what that means is someone with something like a screen reader able to progress through a Turnstile challenge without any other issues. And we're very proud to see that they are. And they're not going to be served some sort of alternate audio-based challenge, which is even worse experience than a visual challenge. All right. So with that, thank you so much to everyone for attending the demo or attending the webinar. I'm going to turn it over to Humair now to go over the demo and see what it looks like to run Turnstile, as well as our managed challenge.
Okay, Adam. Great. Thanks. Good stuff. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show a demo here of the turnstile capability Adam just discussed, and going to focus on how customers traditionally used legacy CAPTCHA, and then the improvements with Cloudflare Managed Challenge, and now what everyone can do with Turnstile. But before I get into that, I want to also briefly walk through some of the additional bot management capabilities. So, first few details on the demo environment. For demo and analytic purposes, I've automated traffic being generated 24/7. And that's reflected here in the dashboard where you can see about 4 million requests over the last 24 hours. If I click analytics here, you can see more details on the requests, including geolocation, paths, user agents, IP addresses, and much, much more. I'm going to jump over to security analytics here. So I'm going to go to our security analytics section. And this is where we bring together all of our detection capabilities in one place. In addition to seeing all mitigated and non-mitigated traffic, you can click bot analysis here, and it gives you a breakdown of the different classifications of traffic based on a bot score. We give you every single request, which represents the likeliness of that request being automated or a bot. And similar to our other security products, as Adam mentioned, we have a layered detection approach for bot management. So we're talking heuristics, anomaly detection, JavaScript detections. We have verified bot list for known good bots, so we don't block those. We have machine learning. And as another layer of defense, we also have Turnstile, or our CAPTCHA replacement technology that Adam covered. So briefly, I won't spend a lot of time here because Adam did a great job covering this. But heuristics, we're basically looking at various fingerprints and data points that identify those bots. If a request matches a fingerprint, it's matched as a bot. And in this case, we know very well, so it's going to get assigned a bot score of 1. You can see the score source down here and the different types of methods we're using. Anomaly detection, Cloudflare uses that. Machine learning, building a baseline of your traffic and using it to identify anomalies. JavaScript detections and analyzing requests using JavaScript device class fingerprinting to accurately identify bots. The verified bot list, of course, so we don't bot good bots like search engine crawlers that have no malicious intent. And then we have machine learning that's used on the majority of requests that reach Cloudflare. This engine uses a model trained on all the Cloudflare data as well as the bad actors, and the model will then return a confidence score, a confidence level from 2 to 99, which can be leveraged by the user to create custom rules and actions. So looking at this here, you can see the traffic can be classified as automated, likely automated, human, likely human, and verified bot. And then on the right here, you also see bot analysis, the bot analysis widget, where you can easily filter on automated or any classification of traffic and even get a quick breakdown of the bot score sources. Here, I'll go ahead and just filter on automated traffic, and we'll get back the results. And just opening one of these up, taking a quick look here at the details, you can see here we have a bot score of 1 for the specific request right here. And you can see the score source here was, where do we have it listed here? You can see it should be heuristics right here. So you can see this was given a bot score of 1, and we definitely know it's automated. So this and heuristics has identified that. Now I'm going to jump over to the WAF here. Now, bot score is really great and really useful here because you can leverage it in firewall rules to create very granular policies. So let me scroll down to one here. So here we go. So right here where I have WAF attack score number 9 here, line number 9 here, you can see I'm looking at bot score less than 30, which is likely automated, but I'm also combining it with another score we provide called WAF attack score, which gives the likeliness if the request is malicious. And then here, what's nice is I can also see how many times this rule has been hit. Opening this up, we can look at the rule configuration. So you can see here bot score and WAF attack score being used. And I can get much more granular as well. For example, I can add more stuff here. We have a lot of specific request information you can add. I can even be very granular looking at specific locations, specific attributes. And then down here, you can see I'm just logging, but I can block or also take some other kind of action, such as in a challenge. Now, another useful capability I should mention here is that the bot score is also exposed in logs and workers, Cloudflare workers. So you can leverage our workers serverless platform and write code that, based on the bot score, can actually manipulate the response. Okay. Now, in addition to all these capabilities I've just discussed, we also have a bot management tab here that gives additional analytics. So looking at this, we can see all the analytics on requests and bot score categorization. If you scroll down, you can see the bot score distribution, details on the bot score source, and additional analytics on the requests. Now, here, what I can also do is I can zone in on specific types of requests. So I can say here, let's look at all the requests with a bot score less than 30. I'll just slide this down and we'll see that. And then I'll say, okay, let's go ahead and exclude an IP address where a majority of the requests seem to be coming from, so I can see what else is going on. Okay, so I'm going to exclude this. And then coming back up to my graph now, you can see much more variation in the data and the graph, right? And now if you see something, I saw a question on this I answered earlier in the chat. What if you see something that doesn't look right? You can just come up here, right? Now I've already filtered this down. So all this data with the filtered, information will be sent. So I come up here, I click that link, and I can simply select false positive, false negative, add additional details, and submit so Cloudflare receives this information, can review it, and then can use it to continue to enhance the machine learning model. This is called our bot feedback loop capability. Okay. So finally, let's turn our attention now to another layer of defense. What was once the dreaded CAPTCHAs, Cloudflare has completely done away with. So go into WAF here, you can see I have a rule labeled legacy CAPTCHA now interactive challenge. So let me just go ahead and click into this. You'll notice I'm looking for requests with bot score less than 30. I'm looking at a very specific version of Firefox or user agent and requests accessing this admin login page. Now, if you come down here, there's no more legacy CAPTCHA like we used to have. There's no more legacy CAPTCHA option even available. Cloudflare has completely moved away from CAPTCHAs. However, although not recommended, we do still offer interactive challenge, which is part of our managed challenge platform, which will still make user perform the most basic minimal interaction, such as clicking on a checkbox. So just to demonstrate this, before we then show even more advanced capability, I'm going to bring over my Firefox, which I already have open. Okay. And I'm going to go to that admin login page. Okay. And as you can see here, user has to click a checkbox. And our managed challenge platform is able to determine it's not just clicking the checkbox. They're actually able to determine, based on different criteria and signals that are collected during that process, that a human user, that this is a human user, and allows the person to then proceed. Okay. So let me go back to our dashboard here and expand this. Now, going back to the WAF here, let's go back here. You can also see I have a rule called Managed Challenge right here. Now, clicking into this, let's look at the details. You can see I have an action of Managed Challenge for requests going to this login page URI. Now, I'm not specifying a user agent here. Now, this is useful and moves away from that traditional legacy CAPTCHA and really tries to minimize any user interaction required. So for use cases where you're not sure if it's a malicious bot or human and don't want to flat out block, you can apply Managed Challenge or Turnstile, which I'll demonstrate in a minute, instead of any traditional legacy CAPTCHA or any interactive challenge. Now, this is where Cloudflare then dynamically chooses the appropriate type of challenge based on the characteristics of that request. It can determine whether to perform some non-interactive challenge or in lesser cases, an interactive challenge may be performed, but the idea is to minimize the use of any interaction as much as possible, and the use of CAPTCHAs are completely eliminated altogether. So now I already have Chrome open, so I'm gonna go ahead and navigate to that page, and we'll go ahead and see what happens here. Okay, this is the same page. Let me go ahead and navigate to it, go to the login, and you can see here what's going on. Managed challenges being performed. So in this case, it looks like I had to do that. Let me go back here. Let me delete this cookie here. Where did that go? Okay, so let me go back, go to the login here. Okay, so it has the cookie there. Let me see. Let me just give me a second. Let me go ahead and delete that. Where? There we go. I was looking for this. Let me go ahead and clear that out. I'm going to go to this login. And see, at that time, I didn't get any interactive challenge. So because I'm using this as a test and I'm doing some kind of funky things, it will sometimes give me that interactive challenge, which is what Managed Challenge is supposed to do. It'll selectively pick, like, is it a non-interactive challenge, or do we want to do something minimal? Now, in the other case, you saw where it was always interactive challenge, because that's what I set the action to. You saw it'll always give me that small interactive challenge, simply clicking a checkbox. Here you saw I went here the second time. It says, okay, I'm able to collect information. I know at this point that this person's a human and I didn't have to do anything. And it just went ahead and let me pass. Okay, and the other thing you saw here is you saw that interstitial page. And as expected, and that non-interactive challenge is executed to prove the user is not a bot. And it's a much better overall user experience. Now, I have Managed Challenge enabled on this login page. So next, what I'm going to do is use a credential stuffing bot I wrote in Perl to try to hack the login. And we'll go ahead and see what happens in this case. Okay, so let me go ahead and minimize this. And I will bring over my console here. And I'll go ahead and run my script. So this bot is trying to access the page to then loop through credentials. Most likely, if a hacker is actually doing this, it's going to be stolen credentials. And you can see it's just being denied here, okay? So we're getting that expected behavior. Now, I went through the web page. It saw, okay, this is human. It let me through. I tried to hack this using this Perl script, and it can detect, hey, this is a bot. This isn't, let's go ahead and take the appropriate action and block this, okay? So let's go back to our dashboard here. Now, for some visibility here, you can go to events, the events log. And I know this is a managed challenge. So you can see here, it's broken out by what's logged, what's blocked, what's managed challenge. I can just filter on this. And I'm just going to open up one of these at the bottom here. And we can look at the details. And you can see the Perl agent here, right? You can see where I was going, the path. You can see all the specific information. You can see the action taken was Managed Challenge. So, and then you can see the heuristics engine, pick this up. And right away, we knew what it was, giving a bot score of 1 and going ahead and taking the appropriate action. Now, another useful feature here is you can go to the WAF and look at that specific rule, right? Managed Challenge, and you can see all the times that it's been hit. And you also see the challenge solve rate here. And the challenge solve rate is basically the challenges solved divided by the challenges issued. And it gives you an idea of the type of traffic and how often challenges are actually being solved. Okay. All right. So the next part of the demo, I'm going to use Turnstile. Very cool stuff. Turnstile allows customers to run challenges anywhere on their site in even a less intrusive way. So what users can do is they can embed code within their page, and that performs a challenge right on their site based on a specific widget or action that's performed, such as submitting a form. And if the challenge gets solved, a token is produced that's verified by Cloudflare. Now, with Turnstile, users don't see any interstitial page, and also customers don't have to set up firewall rules to control when the challenge is actually triggered. So let's go over here and head over to Turnstile. I'm going to head over to the dashboard here. And as you can see here at the bottom, I already created a widget. So I'll click the settings here to take a look. And you can see here, I applied it to my domain and I've set it up to be in non-interactive mode. I also I also could have selected managed here, which is the behavior as the managed challenge, or invisible, which would not even show the Cloudflare logo or anything to give away that a challenge is actually even being performed. So here then you can see the site key and secret key has already been generated. And here are links to example code you can use to insert the widget and the site key into your web page. So let me go here to a different section of my website where you have to log in to leave comments. Okay. And this is the editor for my web page. And you can see if I scroll down here, I actually have I have a form here, right? So the widget is embedded with my site key and initialized on the page here. And in the header over here on the right, I have a JavaScript that basically makes the global Turnstile API object and function available. Okay. So now using Chrome, I'm going to navigate to the comments login page and let's see what happens here. Okay. So let's go here. Let's go to comments. So you can see here, right within the page, right? And then it says success. So you can see it successfully rendered the widget. Let me close this so we can make this bigger. So now I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And you can see I'm successfully able to log in. I can now leave comments, and you can see the Turnstile token was successfully validated. I have some metadata printed out on the screen just to show that here it's saying success is true. And here over at interactive, it's also showing that this is false. So it's not in interactive mode, right? Now, if you can see, yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually try to log in using another domain. So I have this other domain where I'm going to use this domain to try to log in to that comment section. And right away, before I even do anything, right, I just, here I'm just clicking reload. You can already see failure down here, right? So I'm trying to log into the same location via a different domain. As you can see here, Turnstile detects that, stating the invalid domain and a valid token is not received. So let's just go ahead and try to log in. And if I try to log in, you can see I'm denied due to no valid Turnstile token. And in the metadata, you can see the success here is marked as false. Now, another trick hackers will often try to do is they'll try to leverage scripting and automation tools to do some browser automation. So I'm going to show an example here. So what I did here is I wrote a Python script that leverages an automation software called Selenium. So I'm using the Selenium tool and libraries along with Python to do some browser automation. So once I run the script, a browser will automatically open up and navigate to that comments login site and try to do some stuff there, right? And we'll see how Cloudflare is able to detect and handle this appropriately. So here's my Python script. I'm going to run it, and I have it coded to open up Firefox. So let's see, Firefox, okay, here, browser's opening up on my other window here. So I'm dragging it over. You can see here, failure, right? So again, in this case, what's happening is, the browser opens up using that automation. It goes here. Cloudflare is automatically able to detect what's going on and block that appropriately. If I try to log in here. Again, it doesn't let me through and everything fails. Okay. Now I'm going to go back over to my widget. Let me go ahead and move that out of the way. Let me go back over to my dashboard. I'm going to go back over to my turnstile widget. Another cool thing you can do here is you can just come here and change it. So I'm going to change this now to invisible mode, and I'm going to go ahead and update this. Okay, you can see it's successfully updated. Now I'm going to go back to my comments login site. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, and we will go to comments, and you can see nothing showed up, right? It's not even visible to the person that some challenge is actually being done in the background. But if I try to log in, you can see the valid is, the token is validated and I'm able to log in. Now, the last thing I want to show here is that there's also analytics. So I'll go ahead and go back to my turnstile. I'll go down to this guy here. Now here you can see the number of challenges that have been issued. You can see the visitor solve rate, which is how many times the widget has been successfully rendered. And you can see the API solve rate, which is of the people who successfully rendered the widget, how many clicked the login button and redeemed that token. So, right. So I know it covered a lot of information here, but hopefully this gives you some good insight of how all of this stuff works and how all of this can be used. That's it for the demo. I'll go ahead and hand it back over to the team and wrap up with Q&A.
Thanks, Amir. That was such a great demo. I really appreciate you putting that together. We've gotten a ton of really great questions here. I flagged a few that I'd like to answer while we still have time. I know that we're already at 46 minutes, so I'll try and keep it short. I'm sure there are other commits that other folks have, and we'll follow up with the rest of the questions offline. One of the questions that I thought was really interesting and gives me a chance to brag about all the really cool work that our engineering team is doing behind the scenes is a question from Andrew, which was, what are you doing to combat services like Zenrose, which are purpose-built to defeat Turnstile? So as you saw on the slide, we mentioned that there are scraping services. Some of them are even receiving funding and millions of dollars of funding to try and break bot management services. And so Zenrose in particular wrote a big blog article about how to bypass all the major bot management services, and Cloudflare was one of them. The thing that made me really proud about this article was that by the time they wrote it and published how they were deobfuscating our JavaScript, how they were getting past it, we had already published an entirely new JavaScript-based challenge platform. Now we're doing things like every single challenge that's issued, we're spinning up an entirely different virtual machine just for that challenge, obfuscating the challenge in completely new ways just for that specific user. And we're also rotating through challenges very frequently as well. So if someone really wanted to deobfuscate the assembly code that we're using to serve this challenge, and then they wanted to spend weeks doing it, the reward at the end of doing this would be that they've solved one challenge that was unique to them, and it is in no way applicable to any of the other challenges that anyone else sees. So even if they did spend weeks doing this, it would actually not help them reverse engineer the next challenge that they saw. So we've really made very significant investments to put in place state-of-the-art obfuscation technology to make sure that every single challenge is dynamically obfuscated and significantly hardened. So services like Zenrose, even though they've blogged about being able to reverse engineer a Cloudflare challenge, the fact is by the time they published it, it was completely irrelevant and not actually useful for anyone. Another good question we got here from Scott was, how do you see false detection? So humans flagged versus bots and vice versa. There are a couple different ways that we monitor for humans flagged as bots. A few of them are signals that we're using, and we're holding on to the signal. So we're not using them in our detection algorithm that the challenge pages uses, but we're more using them as a barometer. So if we see feature X that we're using behind the scenes and we know is a very high quality signal of human behavior, and we see suddenly that people aren't solving it using this signal, then we know that we have a problem. Alerts are issued, and the team springs into action to ensure that we really quickly update a code change so that anyone who wasn't getting past the challenge is now. We have some of the best alerting in place on the Turnstile team in all of Cloudflare. So we're able to detect problems that are not even related to our system before other parts of Cloudflare are. We also we're in the process of releasing a feedback form. So right now it's in place for about 1% of all Turnstile widgets. If someone is getting a challenge loop for some reason. So we wrote about this on the Turnstile blog, but one of those reasons might be their system time over 24 hours off. So if that's the case, then what will happen is they can submit feedback and let us know that they're not getting by the challenge, and we're monitoring very closely any submissions there, so we'll be able to tell if there is a human that for some reason maybe they're on a very 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 old browser. If they're not getting past a challenge, we'll be able to isolate that very quickly and put out a fix. One other question that I really wanted to highlight, because I think it's a great one, is Alice asked, what is the difference in effectiveness between the visible and invisible Turnstile widgets? And so there is an increase in efficacy if we're able to use the visible Turnstile widget, where we at least have the option to look for interactivity. Although we recognize that it's very easy for a bot to check in a box, that's obviously not the signal that we're looking for. There is a lot that we're looking in for when we do prompt for interactivity. So when we think that something looks a little suspicious, maybe borderline behavior, and we want to prompt for someone to check in a box, there is additional data that we get during that checkbox. So if you are able to use the visible widget, that will provide you the most possible security. The invisible mode is still highly accurate. It's still very good. We recommend that you use it, especially in places where you might want to put in place more challenges and you don't want someone to see the widget every time. The invisible mode is certainly an option, but if you want the most possible security that you can get, the visible mode is the best way to go. Let's see. There's a couple other questions that I thought were really good. Humair, do you have any flag that you wanted to ask?
No, let's just go down whatever questions people have that we haven't answered yet.
David Fisher had a good one, which was, is Turnstile available standalone or is it included in an enterprise contract? So the way that we recommend using Turnstile is with our bot management product. It's included in bot management as an enterprise add-on. And there you get a full suite of detection and response capabilities, not just the ones that you get with Turnstile. However, if let's say you're not able to use the Cloudflare CDN for some reason, and you just want to use Turnstile as something like a reCAPTCHA replacement, that is available as an option too. So feel free to reach out to our enterprise sales team, and we'll be happy to work with you on a contract just for Turnstile on its own.
So I do see one question where someone's asking about like what's, is this is Turnstile related to WAF managed rules? So WAF managed rules is our protection for like basically like 0-day attacks, right? What we're doing here with Turnstile is basically looking at fighting the bots and being able to effectively handle that without causing issues with like users having to do CAPTCHAs and all that. So very seamless detection of bots and handling that capability.
Thanks so much. I think one last question we'll handle is from Michael, who said, from what I know, the existing Cloudflare challenge adds a cookie once the challenge is passed in order to avoid showing the challenge multiple times to the same person. How does Turnstile avoid showing the challenge multiple times to the same user? So that's a really great question. And it lets me talk about some work that's coming out in a couple of weeks here. So by default, Turnstile, remember we said that Turnstile gives us action integrity. So in a lot of use cases, what we want to do is, even if it's the same user, we want to validate that the action that they're taking is done in a secure manner. And so this would be not just on a per session basis, but anytime anyone submits credit card details, that action is so sensitive that we want to validate that this is still a good user. But there might be other cases where you want to show a turnstile challenge and only show it once for the same user. And so we will be giving out the ability for Turnstile to issue that same clearance cookie that you would normally get from a Cloudflare challenge. And Turnstile will be able to do that account wide. So that will be coming out in approximately 2 weeks. Keep an eye on the Cloudflare blog as we'll announce it there.
Adam, one more that's like really good here is I see someone asking about when you're like in the demo, we were applying the URL user visits. That was for the managed challenge. And then I see someone asking a question about, well, what if we want to apply the challenge to a different endpoint? Could be an API endpoint, for example, a call made to an endpoint when submitting a form or taking some other action. That's exactly the great thing about Turnstile. You can actually do it just for that. So in that demo I showed, when I was using it in the form, that form can be actually submitting to a different endpoint that the user is actually visiting with which that form is on. And I think Adam covered that in his slides as well, but that's a perfect use case for using Turnstile. You can protect that scenario too, where the endpoint you want to protect is not actually the page the user is visiting.
Okay, I think that's all for us today. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to watch the webinar, to ask great questions. We'll be following up with the rest of the questions offline. Slides and a recording of the webinar will be circulated as well for everyone who attended. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.